Okay, thank you very much. We can continue putting this in. We can continue collecting words and we'll share them with everyone. But Mary, if you're ready now, you're free to go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you all. And I'm just going to offer a few words of thanks and some comments about where the work of this conference might go in future. So first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who took part in this conference of the past 2 days, people who gave papers, took part in the roundtable and chaired sessions. Thank you to all of you, especially for taking part at times which in all sorts of ways might not have been the easiest for you. But I also want to say that none of these discussions would have been possible without those who did the work of organising this meeting. To Isabel Medham in particular, we owe a huge debt. Isabel has travelled both literally and metaphorically huge distances in the course of working on this administration and has remained calm and competent under very considerable pressures. In this, she has been supported at all times, and I do quite sincerely mean that at all times. Becca White, Lucia Pedrioli, Kate Stewart and Hazel Johnson. Nothing would have happened without the work that these people put in. Thank you too to the many translators who shared in the essential work of extending the boundaries of the discussions beyond the usual context of the English language. So having said that, we also want to say something about how we can consider taking forward what has been initiated and started here. Most importantly, what we do very much want not to happen is to lose the sense of energy and relevance that has inspired this event. There has to be more of the same work by the same people from the same and other places that we have just heard from. The very circumstances of the pandemic, which made the geographical extent of this conference foundational, will of course we very much hope not be repeated. But at the same time, what has been recognised here is that the intellectual and political exchanges which have been crucial here in the last 2 days have to operate in a way which allows truly global meetings and exchanges. What we can only offer at present is that everyone who has taken part in this conference, in whatever context, as speaker, attendee, or would-be participant, sends us their email details to gender.events@lse.ac.uk. And if this seems a very prosaic way of going forward, and indeed it is, then it's very important in making known to each of us the other people in other places who share the interest in reversing those forms of epistemological authority which have only enhanced existing forms of power. So first and foremost, the important thing is please be in touch. But from that last comment, I'd like to offer a few other remarks about the last 2 days of this very intense discussion. The first is that what has been achieved here is a presence, a collective presence, and a very remarkable one, of people from across the planet who share the same concerns about the ways in which the concepts within too much of the world operates have a bias towards the political and material interests of the global north. It is not that these interests and their constitutive language and discourse of capital and nation are unknown in the global south, but they are too little interrupted. Only collective presence can do that work of interruption. Secondly, that work can be done in the ways in which the speakers at this conference did it, through challenges to the assumptions, ontological and epistemological, which support structures of classed, gendered and racialized inequality. Concepts which have themselves been generated in the heat of political struggles, which impose meanings that take forward divisions and create racialized hierarchies of knowledge. As speakers remarked, working with a binary division of global north and global south obscures and perpetuates colonial perceptions of the world, refusing differences within societies as well as those between them. And one final theme, which has occurred in several papers throughout the last 2 days, is that of the contemporary status of the universities and the production of knowledge in the academy. For decades, if not some centuries perhaps, the global north has dominated tables of the standing and authority of universities. But that certainty is, in one sense, increasingly fragile as the global south supports higher education. But more problematic is the status of knowledge itself in what has been described as the marketplace of ideas, a world which increasingly operates through meta-concepts and theories with a supposed moral and political authority and neutrality and very little intellectual location. In this, millions in the global north are as much at risk as those in the global south. The importance of asking questions across as much as within disciplines about what knowledge is and for whom belongs us to all, whichever discipline, whichever country and whichever culture we belong to. So we very much hope, as the collective that has organised this conference and put together the speakers and the questioners and everybody who has sent in comments to the chat function, we very much hope that you will come forward and suggest ways in which we can establish connections and take forward the ideas and the presence which has been made possible and has been created in the last 2 days of our exchanges. And so we all have to say goodbye to you. I'm not just going to use the English word, but I want to more appropriately use the word of the Quechua language, Tupamana Chiscama, a word which invokes reciprocity and relationality, and it means until we all shall meet again. So I think it's at this point that we bring together the collective, everybody who has been involved in this, and indeed all the speakers, all the attendees, all the attenders of the conference, and we say to you exactly again that, Tupa Nana Chiscama. So thank you for being here. And I think Isabel is going to produce yet one more piece of pictorial presence. No?
Well, us. I hope
Thank you.
we 4 of us. Kate and Lucia unfortunately aren't. I was looking for them. They're probably busy. But so then it's the 4 of us. I hope that you can see. So goodbye.
Goodbye and thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
We see each other again.
Bye. Solidarity.